This video is about a guy on American Idol you think you know. John Foster looked like just another small-town kid chasing a dream, but there's a part of his story the show never told you. Before he ever stepped on that stage, John went through something so painful it almost broke him. Most people think idol singers just want fame, but John, he was singing just to survive. And the wildest part? His most powerful performance wasn't about winning. It was a goodbye to his two best friends who died in a tragedy that Idol barely even mentioned. I've watched his journey, dug into local news, and found the full story the cameras didn't. In this video, I'm laying it all out. The heartbreak, the rumors, and the truth behind the song that made everyone cry. Keep watching, because once you hear what really happened, you'll never see him the same way again. It all started on a cold New Year's Eve in a forgotten Louisiana town, a night that would destroy everything John Foster once knew. At just 16, John got the call no teenager should ever have to answer. Two of his best friends, Maggie Dunn and Gill, were gone, killed in an accident so sudden, so senseless, that it ripped the heart out of an entire community. But here's where it gets even more heartbreaking. The crash wasn't just some freak accident. A police officer chasing a stolen vehicle ran a red light at full speed and collided with their car. Maggie's brother survived, but just barely. John, shattered and speechless, sat alone by the bayou that night. His pain didn't come out in screams. It came out in a song, a melody so raw, so full of sorrow that it became both his therapy and his tribute. He wrote, "Tell that angel I love her," right there, as tears hit the strings. Hold on to that song, because it's going to mean even more later. What happened next will make you believe in the healing power of music. You wouldn't expect a future American Idol star to come from a place like Addis, Louisiana, a town so small it barely shows up on the map. But that's where John Foster's story began, on the quiet west bank of the Mississippi River, where neighbors are more like family and secrets don't stay secret for long. But here's where it gets interesting. Even as a little kid, John didn't quite fit the mold. While other boys played football, he was glued to old cassette tapes of George Strait and Keith Whitley. His classmates saw a quiet kid, but behind closed doors, John was already dreaming in melodies and singing like a man. Twice his age, music wasn't just background noise, it was a lifeline, a way to feel less alone in a town that didn't always know what to do with someone like him. Stick with me. This next part explains everything, because those lonely afternoons listening to country legends would eventually turn John into one himself. Most kids chase grades or guitars, but not both. John Foster was different. In 2024, while most teenagers were still figuring out who they were, he graduated as valedictorian of Brusley High School. Top of his class, head full of lyrics, and heart full of something most people twice his age still don't understand: purpose. Now here's the twist. At the same time he was studying for finals, he was also quietly preparing his next big move, a music career that was about to explode. He'd just started college at LSU, barely unpacked his dorm room, and already gigs were calling. Fans were listening. Songs were spreading like wildfire. It sounds crazy, but it's true. While his classmates were figuring out what to major in, John was figuring out how to manage rising fame. Don't scroll yet. The best part's coming next, because once he picked up a guitar, everything changed, for him and for us. It didn't happen on a big stage. There was no spotlight, no crowd. Just a 16-year-old kid, a secondhand guitar, and a storm of emotion he couldn't contain. That's when John Foster started writing songs. Not because he wanted to go viral, but because he literally had no other way to survive the grief. But then, it took a powerful turn. His sound? Neo-traditional country, with a modern soul. A throwback to legends, but with something deeper, something personal. In 2022, he poured that heartache into Someone to Sing To, and won the Traditional Songwriter Award at Schreff International in Germany. Yeah, Germany. From a Louisiana bedroom to an international stage, just like that. And that's just the beginning. Because soon, he wouldn't just be playing local bars, he'd be sharing stages with the icons he grew up idolizing. You might think music was John's greatest gift, but it wasn't. His real power came from something even deeper: his faith. A devout Catholic, John didn't just perform for applause, he sang for healing, for connection, for something bigger than himself. And you could feel it in every lyric. But here's where it gets emotional. He often sang at St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, not because it paid, but because it mattered. His community heard more than a song. They heard their own pain, their own joy, reflected back at them. And when American Idol rolled into view, that same community showed up for him like never before. They weren't fans, they were family. Keep watching, because this next bit is wild. He didn't just bring his voice to the Idol audition, he brought his roots. Literally, he brought Cajun food to the judges. Most contestants performed songs they didn't write. John Foster, he brought a piece of his soul. During American Idol's Top 20, he sang Tell That Angel I Love Her, the song born from heartbreak the night Maggie and Caroline died. But this time, it wasn't just him by the bayou. Maggie's mother was in the audience. And what happened next will shock you. The entire room fell silent. Not the quiet kind, the stunned kind. Judges were frozen. Viewers wept. You could feel the grief in every note, but also something else. Peace. That song wasn't just a tribute, it was a release, a reckoning, a moment when everyone in the room remembered that music isn't just sound, it's survival. Remember this part, it's important later, because what John did in that performance changed how America saw him. Not as a contestant, but as a storyteller, a healer, a voice for those who can't find one. But with spotlight comes shadow. As John rose higher in the idol ranks, so did the rumors. Trolls online claimed he was 24, not 18. Others said he wasn't, really from Louisiana. Some even insisted he was secretly related to Dwight Yoakam. It sounds ridiculous, but it gained traction. But then John did something rare. He didn't hire a rep. He didn't throw a tantrum. He opened Facebook and wrote, "Plain and honest. I am 18 years old. I am from Addis, Louisiana, and I've never been signed to a label." Just like that, he shut the rumors down, not with drama, but with dignity. Hold that thought, because it connects to something even crazier. The more people tried to knock him down, the more grounded he became, and the more his real fans showed up to lift him higher. You could measure John's success in views and streams, but the real proof? It was on the front porches of Addis. Handmade signs, giant banners, painted windows. Messages like, "We are ATIS proud of you" showed up everywhere, from Emma's garden to the steps of Town Hall. And the reason will surprise you. They weren't just cheering for a local kid on TV. They were protecting their own. The same boy, who once played guitar in church, was now carrying the town's hopes onto the national stage. And when Idol demanded time and travel, his parents made the call. Go chase your dream, even if it meant pausing college. Even if it meant everything changed. Don't scroll yet. This part explains who John really is. Because without that kind of community and that kind of family, his voice might never have been heard at all. Every week on Idol felt like walking a tightrope. It's one or done, John said. You make it or you don't. But instead of cracking under pressure, he transformed. With each round, each performance, he peeled back another layer of who he was. Vulnerable, gritty, real. Now here's the twist. While the world saw a rising star, John saw something else. A rare chance to grow, to learn from his fellow contestants. People he called some of the best you'll ever meet. Whether tipping his hat to Carrie Underwood or risking everything on an original ballad, John never played it safe. He played it true. Keep watching, because the next part defines his legacy. This wasn't just about a competition anymore. It was about becoming who he was always meant to be. John Foster may have started as a contestant, but what he's become is far more powerful, a symbol of resilience. He's now one of the top 10 finalists. But if you ask him, it's not about the trophy. It's about telling stories that matter, about singing through pain and helping others do the same. But here's where it gets inspiring. He wants his music to be more than just tracks on a playlist. He wants it to be the light for someone sitting in the dark, just like he was that night by the bayou. His journey proves something we all need to hear, that even when life breaks you, your voice can still rise. That hope isn't just a word, it's a song. And that's why this is only the beginning, because the world hasn't seen the last of this small town boy with a big voice and an even bigger heart.